Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Reds fan channel. I am your host, Stu, and I'm here this morning to discuss all the latest goings on with Liverpool transfer talk, games coming up, and anything else relating to Liverpool. I've got a little fun section going on later on in the stream. But before I do anything else, I'll just get the usual admin out of the way. Make sure you do leave a like on this video. Comment in the chat. Let's keep that going because we are getting some really good interactions going on in the chat. And as I'm going to be by myself today, I need the chat. I need you guys to keep on talking so we can keep the conversations going. That does help a hell of a lot. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you are new here and you enjoy this content. Hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 1,500 subs, and I've now readjusted the target of 1,500 subs to be reached by the time we've reached the Bournemouth game. That's an even tougher one, but I still think we have a chance of actually doing it. But without further ado, let's go on to the first topic of conversation this morning. And it was the early breaking news. If I just pull up the page, once I can find it on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter. Who actually calls it X? I don't think anybody does, to be fair. And it was broken by the main man at the moment, Indy, not Fabrizio or anybody else like that. But yes, Indy broke the news at 7 o'clock this morning that apparently Rordrygo has requested that his agent contact Liverpool and see what the parameters are for a move to the club now that Diaz has been sold. Now, for me, Rordrygo, if we have a look at, I'm going to pull up some of his data stats as well so I can read off that. But going off what I know of the player already, Rordrygo, I've already said, would be an absolute baller of a signing. I have absolutely no doubts about that. But is the price for him just a little bit too much? And I'm not talking about the transfer price. I'm talking about the wage package overall. Is the wage packet just that little bit too much? Because we're talking, I think from what I've read, before I carry on, thank you very much, Willem. Good to see you again this morning. And yeah, no chance I'm calling you Apex. Still Twitter all day long. Yes, my man. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's Twitter all day long. It is what it is. Get over it. But Rordrygo, going back onto that subject, I've read somewhere this morning that his wages are around about 350 to 400,000 euros. I don't know if that is entirely correct. I'll see if I can find a little bit more on that if I can. But if that is the case, I mean, according to this, he's on 12.5 million euros a year, which, okay, let's dig out the calculator on this one as well and see if we can just work this out as a rough estimate of what that is going to be. So if we do 12.5 mil, divide that by 12, and then divide that by 4, you're talking about 265,000 euros a week. And if he is wanting like sort of 300,000 euro plus to come to us, that's not going to happen. I can categorically say he will not be put on that wages. He's still only 24. He is not up in the echelons of Salah at the end of the day. Nowhere near it. Absolutely nowhere near it. But that's not to say that he can't reach it. Now, if there is a deal to be done, then maybe convincing him to take a bit of a wage cut to start off with would help, because I have a feeling a lot of the wages are going to go into the Isak deal when that does get done. But guys, do you think Rordrygo would be worth that sort of wages right now? Or is it one of those that we go, okay, Diaz is gone. But again, looking at some of the comments this morning, it's looking like Slot is favouring Engamoa for this season. And it looks like Gakpo is going to be first choice. So is there actually a real need to bring in somebody as expensive as Rordrygo? Or do we try and get somebody who is in between Engamoa and Gakpo's age, like CJ has suggested Engamoa is better than Fofana, but is Fofana a genuine option at the end of the day? It's like Fireburn is 50-50 on him. I think it's a difficult one to call because I'd say have a look at his stats. Let's have the data over the last couple of seasons. similar amount of minutes, and he's had a couple of really good seasons. He's one of the highest scorers, I think, in the Champions League, or one of the highest assisters, and he has got the talent there. And he's just been squeezed out a little bit from Madrid, thanks to obviously Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe and all that being there, all playing in the same position. But like William said as well, if Rordrygo can come to a compromise for 200 max wages or up to 250, then yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money at the end of the day. There's no doubt about that. And it always makes me squirm when we're talking about these sort of figures. It just doesn't sit quite right with me. But unfortunately, the game is the game at the end of the day. And that is what some of these footballers are on. If he was to bring that down from 260,000 euros down to, because that would equate to about what, 240,000 pounds a week. If he can bring that down or roughly keep it round about the same, there may still be a deal worth doing there. But again, then it'll depend on the transfer price and also all the hidden extras, like sort of signing on fees, agent fees, and all that sort of stuff. I just got a feeling that it may just be a little bit too pricey for us this summer after all the money that we've spent and we are continuing to spend. That's just my personal opinion. I just think it's a little bit too far. But looking at the comments, I think you guys are in pretty much an agreement with me on this one. Jen saying if he wants us, then he will deal accordingly and would not go for Fofana. I kind of agree on that one as well. Fofana, I'm not too sure. I'm not sold on him entirely. I would rather Rordrygo, but again, only at the right price. CJ saying he thinks Rodrygo is going to stay at Madrid or go to Saudi. Well, again, yeah, that's another possibility. That is another possibility, but 24-year-old Brazilian international going to Saudi Arabia, they're going to have to offer him a lot of money to do that because the Saudi League is still not there. It's not there, and it will take a long time for it to get up to that competitive level, if it ever does at all. Or will it just be the biggest money spinner for players come to the end of their career, so to speak? Just for the last 77, Rordrygo isn't coming. Liverpool cannot afford the wages. We can afford them. We're not spending all this money to not being able to afford the wages. We can afford it. The point and principle is that we're not going to pay the same amount of wages to a 24-year-old Brazilian winger that we have the likes of Salah on, who is a club legend. He needs to earn that. I think that's the main point I'm trying to make. Players, if they want that really, really high wage band, they have to earn it at the club. It's as simple as that. I don't think that's too unfair to say. Gerson is saying Rordrygo is a market opportunity. And by the way, if Gakpo gets injured, Rio won't make it on his hectic season. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I think Ngamoa and Gakpo, if Gakpo can stay fit and we can rotate Ngamoa through, I think he could be all right, actually. Lone Stuff ain't true, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yildiz I think he's staying at Juventus now, I think. But also, another fair point from the real McCoy, saying that shirt sales would pay for his wages. Yeah, to be fair. But then again, shirt sales for Wirtz, Isak, and all that will pay for their wages at least for a year as well. Good morning, Prakash. Good to see you along. Thank you very much for joining us. And I'm not trying to kid anybody. The money is there. And the money will be there this season. I don't think we've got any worries about wages. The point I'm trying to make is that the players have to earn these high wages. That is the main thing. If they want to come into a club, the only way that you'll ever get players coming into the club, like Wirtz and Isak, right onto the high wages is because Isak is the targets that we want. Rordrygo is an opportunity signing, which means we have the negotiation standpoint of, well, he wants to come to us. Yes, he is a target for us, but he is not a necessity. So we have a little bit of leeway in bargaining going on there. But again, personally, the money should be going in on a couple of centre-backs or a centre-back and a DM and Isak, first and foremost. I think up front, we're pretty well covered once we get Isak in. I'm quietly confident on that one. But yeah, it's a difficult one. Rordrygo, again, like I said earlier on, or was stated earlier on in the chat, is a 50-50 one for me. And the thing I don't want to happen, and I've stated this time and time again, is I look at somebody like Engamoa, who I personally feel is a massive, massive generational talent for the club, and the club have done so well to get somebody like Engamoa out of Chelsea's academy and into ours. I think we've got a generational talent on our hands, and I don't want his progression to be hampered at all. So that's where I see that with that. That's the only reason why I wouldn't take Rordrygo, because that would take up, I think, a spot for Engamoa more than anything else. Exactly. Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are absolute bulldogs when it comes to negotiations. Let's face it, the deals that they've done so far have been absolutely excellent. So I see no reason why negotiations wouldn't go in our favour if we did sign Rordrygo. But I think that's enough on the Rordrygo side of things at the moment, after doing a little bit of digging around. But the next one would be Isak. And Isak is going to be... I think it's going to be a long haul one. I think a bid or two is going to go in this week. But the key thing with the Isak deal is it's going to be whether they get a striker or not, or two strikers, actually, because I completely forget that they lost Callum Wilson as well. They have really no strikers at all. So they need two. They need two strikers to come in before they can consider selling Isak. So I think we may have to be a little bit more patient on this one, looking at it. Anyway, Damo's in the chat under his usual guys, not from the Talking Red side of things. As he says, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's have a look and see what else is going on in the comments. Need at least one centre back and an opinion of winger along with Isak. Yeah, I mean, the Doak one is an interesting one. I don't know whether Doak is going to go. Hell, I don't even know if Elliott's going to go. That's a tough one. He could still end up staying. You just don't know. It's just one of those things. Yeah, Jen, they are in for Seshko. But I did read last night that apparently Man United are sniffing around. Now, from that aspect, if you're in Seshko's position, okay, Man United have a bigger reputational pull than Newcastle, but they're way, way down the pecking order at the moment. They are so far off, like, sort of any sort of decent European qualification. They've got at least 2 or 3 years. Is Seshko really going to consider taking the striker option at United, where they may not get Champions League football for the next couple of seasons, or go into a club that is way ahead of United in that standpoint in Champions League and looking to constantly qualify for it again? Personally, in Sechko's position, I would be taking Newcastle over United, but at the end of the day, money talks. If they offer a better deal, he may take it. But then again, on the flip side of that, I've also seen that United aren't looking to spend that sort of money on a striker, which I think is going to be about 65 million for Sechko. So it's a difficult one, but I still think he's going to end up at Newcastle ultimately. But like I said, they still need another striker on top of that. Julia Martin can have Darwin as part of the deal. You imagine that swap deal for Isak for Nunez. Or could you imagine the heads exploding on Tyneside if we did that? Whew. That'll be an interesting one, but I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. It would be quite comical, though, to be fair. And just looking on Twitter here, at the end of the training session in Tokyo today, Nunez actually stayed back for extra training, doing shooting practice. So make of that what you will. I mean, is there a reality in this that we end up having to keep Nunez because we can't sell him? Realistically, there is still a possible chance of that. If we can't get the financial side of things right for selling Nunez, we're not going to sell him for a cheap price. There may be a loan deal had in that, and loaning him to another European club and doing a deal next season with a fixed fee put in place is a possibility. But there is also a possibility that Nunez doesn't leave at all. And we have to face that reality as well. for some people that don't want to believe that, that is a real possibility. Jen saying, no, please no. I mean, I've been very critical in Nunez. At the end of the day, I don't like dumping down on our players too much, but at the end of the day, he did cost the club 85 million and he hasn't produced the goods of what we wanted to see, but he is still a decent player. So him staying, I don't think would be the complete end of the world that some people seem to think it would be, but ideally we do need to get him out of the club because, again, if he did stay, his game time would be even more limited because he wouldn't get in ahead of Isak and he wouldn't get in ahead of Ekitike either. Could he cover Gakpo on the left-hand side? That's happened quite a few times, so that's one thing to consider. Willem said about 3 seasons too late to be practicing the shooting. Yeah, fair point. Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's a cut all losses and sell him, but if nobody's willing to pay out the price, then we really shouldn't sell him at a bargain price, so to speak. Mechanic, that's an interesting one. The dark side wants to see what Nunez and Wirtz look like. Hey, you never know. You never know. It could actually happen. William saying, I imagine that they all get sold. Still 5 or 6 weeks left in the window. Yeah, which I do actually want to correct a mistake I made on stream a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. Well, for some reason, I got it in my head that the transfer window shut on the first day of the season. I honestly thought that was a rule that was coming in this season, but I don't think it is now. So if anybody could correct me in the comments on that, when it is coming in, I definitely read it somewhere, but I can't seem to find any information on it. Be similar to the Gahey deal and likely result. Yeah, I think the last couple of deals may take a few weeks to get sorted out, unfortunately. Yeah. They can't take Nunez insurance out again for the TV. Yeah, fair point. And Willem, not a fan, mate, of having him on the left wing as cover. That's almost as bad as putting Gomez in DM. But enough said about that, the better, I think. Another thing I did want to pick up on before I go into another little segment of the stream. Yeah, September 1st is the deadline day. I definitely read it somewhere. I'll see if I can find the info that they are changing the rules on the transfer windows, or it has been proposed. I may have misread it, possibly. But another thing that I did pick up on today, which is just a small thing I wanted to cover. I thought it was quite nice. If I can blung well find it. I can't find it now. But the club have announced that what they are going to do with the Jota memorial outside the club. So obviously there are thousands and thousands of scarves, shirts, flowers, all that sort of stuff. Apparently all of them are going to be collected and used in a charitable way, donated, but also a lot of these are going to be taken and made into a proper memorial for Jota. I don't know what that is going to look like exactly, but I think that's a really cool idea. And again, it just shows the club is doing the right thing to memorialize Jota and his service to the club and the tragedy that has befallen on him, his family, and the club and the footballing world in general. I think that's actually a really nice touch, making good use of what has been left outside the stadium and using it in a positive way to celebrate his life. I think that is a really, really good way of showing our respect to him and his family. So fair play to the club on pulling off another blinder in my mind. So yeah, the next thing I wanted to cover was, and it's something I alluded to yesterday on stream, was the fact that certain fan bases of certain teams are losing their mind over the amount of money that Liverpool spent this summer. And we have corrected many, many other fans saying that this is basically our time. We've had the money saved up because we haven't really saved that much money, to be fair. And when I go through, I'm pretty sure I had this on my Twitter feed at some point, if I can find it, talking about our net spend and the fact that over the last 5 years, we have the 8th highest net spend out of all Premier League teams. It comes as no surprise at all that Chelsea top that table on net spend, and then I think it's like Man City. And it annoys me even more because fan bases have even shorter memories. And I'm going to provide a few examples. A few examples of what our transfer windows used to look like and what we have had to put up with since the 1990s onwards. Now, I got ChatGPT to do a little list for me of our transfer windows dating all the way back to 2000. So that, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I will give a little bit of a view of what our transfer window looked like in 2000, 2001. So let's have a little reminder, shall we, of what we used to spend our minuscule amount of money on. Players like Eric Meyer, who remembers that name? Titi Kamara. I hope I don't get banned for saying that one. Phil Babb, actually, to be fair, Phil Babb was a fairly decent signing. But then you look at Gregory Vignal, Peggy Arfexad, Bernard Diomede. And then going on further from that, El Hadj Diouf, Anthony Litalak, Gregory Vignal, Igor Bischan, Christian Poulsen, Paul Konchesky. The names I could go on and on and on with. And the money that we spent on these players, 9 times out of 10, the players that we bought in were no good for the club at all. They were mediocre at best. Oh, now there's a name. There's a name that I haven't heard in a while. Big Jan Kromkamp, the Flying Dutch wing-back. Hey, actually, to be fair, he was probably one of the better ones out of all the players that we have wasted money on over the years. This is why it is our time. This is why we deserve it. Balotelli is another one. Thank you very much, Jen. Phil Babb actually was a record for a defender at that time. And yeah, he was a bit of a flop, but not so much of a flop as some other players. Let's just put it that way. And that's why it feels more justified for us to be spending this sort of money now, let alone the fact that we only spent money on Chiesa and Mamardashvili last season. Season before that was our midfield rebuild, and we spent money there. But then in between that, we hardly spent any money again. And again, it just shows. And we had all these players come in, even going back, okay, spending money even as recently as 2021 on players like Ben Davies. Why did we do that? And that was even in the Klopp time. Danny Pacheco is another one. Well, that's going back way, way back as well. Not saying that some of these players didn't go on to be successful. You look at another Spanish player, Suso. He had a pretty successful career. A few of them did actually have really good careers. Roy Hodgson, yeah, was the worst for signing players. And it was, oh, God. Some of the players like Jovanovic, an injured Joe Cole. I would say Konchesky was another one. It just, all these years, the couple of decades that we had of just constant dross being brought into the club and not really getting us anywhere. And now we have the chance to do it. And everyone is dumping on us thinking that we do this constantly year in, year out. We don't. The proof is right there. We don't. This is the first time in my memory, and I've been following Liverpool since I was a kid, that we've ever had a transfer window like this. And we've just got to enjoy it while it lasts, because I honestly don't think it's going to, we're going to have another window like this where we're going to be spending 500 million, because this is all part of the future-proofing method. And this is where I see Liverpool going in the future. So our oldest players now are going to be Salah and Van Dijk, both into their 30s, and Robertson. But future-proofing the other positions first, after we got them to sign their contracts, makes perfect sense. Next season, we'll probably be looking at another centre-back position, a DM, and a Salah replacement. And then I think that'll be it. Then it'll be finding players 2-3 years down the line who, for want of a better word, are going to be wonder kids, or along that sort of line where we're going to be looking at the likes of Frimpong and Kirkes, who are coming into the mid 20s into the prime careers. That's when you need to start finding the right backs and left backs that are going to be 17, 18, who can be understudies for them. Bradley may still be there, possibly. I don't know. Owen Beck, maybe Kirkhouse is back up. I don't know. But you kind of get the picture. We need to find those young kids then to start backing up the players that we bought this season a couple of years down the line. And that's how you keep on the cycle going. You keep on future-proofing. It's exactly what Fergie did with United. That's why United was so blooming successful as well. So that's the way I see the club. I think that's where our club model is going. And I mean, I don't know whether you guys would agree with me in the chat. That's how I see our future focus. But as just flashed, the football world changes so quickly. Yeah, that's very true. The football world has changed a hell of a lot over the last 20 years. The money has just got astronomical. I mean, can you imagine spending the sort of money that we're spending on, say, El Hadj Diouf? I can't even think of spending 50 million on a player like El Hadj Diouf. That scares me. That's one of the reasons why we have to get it so right now as well. And as Fireburn said, I don't. Liverpool by 2030 are predicted to have the same revenue as Madrid. Powerhouse. If we become a powerhouse that we already are, but become even more powerful, then we are going absolutely nowhere. We could end up becoming the juggernaut of Europe quite easily. The only thing that Madrid has got going for it is the better weather, unfortunately. But we do have the better league in this country. Oh, we're getting some more examples coming in. Downing, Ruddock, Charlie Adam, Colo Torre, Simon Millionate. Yep, that's all fair. Andy Carroll. Ugh. Yeah, enough said about that one, the better. We got Diouf instead of Anelka. Yeah, Anelka at that point in time, he was a very, very good player. Unfortunately, it was his attitude that let him down, and we got him at the wrong time. I'm still annoyed that we even got Diouf. I absolutely detest that player. It's the quicker he got out of the club, the better. I just did not like him at all. Quick little reminder: keep on hitting that like button, and don't forget to sub as well if you're enjoying this content of me waffling on about history's past with Liverpool. I think it's just important to keep in context. Context is everything. I always try and stick by that, and it is important to remember where the club has come from. And we've come through the domination of the 70s and 80s, and that stopped bang on at the start of the 90s when the Premier League was formed, and we just went downhill from there. And unfortunately, it went from one bad decision to another when the club was sold to Hicks and Gillette. And then, don't forget, the club almost went into administration, which would have meant more than likely a relegation at that point in time, until we actually got bought out by FSG. And they bought us for 300 million. And now we have a value of nearly 5 billion, I think it is, overall. And if we're looking at becoming level with Madrid by 2030, that's a hell of a turnaround. And that's one of the reasons why now we can spend this money. With the prize money from the league and the Champions League and the way everything is run properly financially, we have got no worries at all. It's the other clubs that should be watching over their backs. I don't agree with that. I don't agree. I mean, I'm looking at some of the money that we spent in. Okay, right. Just for laughter, I don't want to get in an argument about this. I'm just pointing out a couple of the prices that we paid. So for players like Peggy Arfexad, we got him on a free transfer. Bernard Diamede, when we bought him in 2000, came in for 3 million. Gregory Vignal, 500,000. It's small. Yari Litmanen, who was well past his best, we got him on a free transfer. And at that point in time, by the end of the 2001 season, we'd only spent 22 million, when in comparison to the likes of United and that, they were outclassing us. They were outstripping us. But now, as I say, that has changed. I think, as I say, I might not have all the figures correct for every single player that we've bought and sold. And yeah, there may be some summers that we have had more expenditure than some other clubs. But overall, over the last couple of decades, and especially over the last 5 years, that is definitely not the case. Our net spend is so incredibly low compared to the likes of Spurs, Chelsea, Man City, and United. That's why we can do what we can do now. And You Never Walk Alone says, our business model was around 20 years behind United. Now we are ahead of them with still room for massive growth. Exactly that. That's just the way it is. I get, yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm stating our Faxad because he was a free transfer, but he was still a player. He was still a player brought into the club as a backup goalkeeper. Look at the backup goalkeepers we got now in comparison. I think that's just the way it is. And right, I'm not Real McCoy. I'm not going to respond to that one. Thank you very much. I'll talk about any other club that I want to on this in context of what it is. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing I'm going to discuss on that one. And yeah, and every club does spend, but we are not anywhere near the biggest spenders and never have been. That's simple. It's that simple. I do remember many a transfer window where Liverpool fans, including myself, were crying out for us to spend money, and we just kept on getting told, no, well, just for laugh, if you think my knowledge is limited, that's fair enough. That's your opinion. Not a problem. That's cool. So we'll move on to the next subject of, hang on, let me just get that reloaded up. So if we have a look at, I will say one thing though, I don't mind people disagreeing with my opinions on this and even trying to call out and even correct me. I'll quite happily take any corrections. I'm not afraid of people correcting me when I am wrong. I am humble enough to admit when I am wrong. But don't be a dick about it in the comments, okay? I don't appreciate that. We can discuss things amicably. It's not a gladiator ring or anything like that. I'm an adult. I can discuss things like an adult. But if you put dickish comments into the comments bar, I will call you out, all right? So let's just have it that way. And let's have a look at the Twitter. Oh, actually, we did have a photo come out yesterday of the new home kit as well. Did anybody see that? Oh, that home kit looks nice. And there has been another photo that's popped up on another Twitter page with Virgin Salah being interviewed in the new training kits as well. So thankfully, we can actually get onto the new kits come Friday. I think it's Friday, isn't it? That's the new kits are coming out. Yeah, it is August 1st. So that's all good. I'm looking forward to seeing some new strips, which frankly, from all the pictures I've seen of all three of the kits, I am really liking the strips that we got for this season. Really liking it. That's a fair point. And I do remember watching that. He's mentioned that plenty of times on the overlap. As the Carragher spoke on it, we would never spend big like the other big boys. And that's true. He's mentioned it plenty of times. He has on the overlap, on the fan show, on the one that he does with Gary Neville and Roy Keane and all that. So, yeah, unfortunately, that is just a fact of life. We never built on the dominance that we had in the 70s and 80s, and some poor decision making during the 90s. Really, like having dual management. Two managers, Roy Evans and Gerard Houllier, that was never ever going to work. There was always only going to be one manager. I think that was just a way of getting the sort of trying to squeeze out the old guard, so to speak, and try and bring. It was a mistake, but I think it was a way of squeezing the old guard out of Liverpool and bringing in something new and European into it. But it just didn't really work, unfortunately. So let's Bush Baptists. Cool name. In the past, we wouldn't spend big 2 or 3 players max, and then they were also gambles. Now we have a billionaire owner that I'm not entirely sure whether he likes spending this money. To be fair, his wallet is on fire at the moment, and yeah. So take that as you will. Take that as you will. But I knew this would spark some conversation, which I don't mind at all. I don't mind that at all. Let's have a quick look at anything else coming through. Again, it's also been confirmed that Rodrygo and his preference would be to leave Real Madrid for Liverpool. But of course, wouldn't that be the case for most players wanting to come to the title holders? That's just the way I see it. If the title holders come in for you, then surely you got to be interested in it. And anything else coming through? No, it's all pretty quiet this morning. Besides a few training videos, etc., etc. The new partnership with the Nippon Foundation over in Japan. That's another bit of business coming through. That'll bring in even more revenue and publicity to the club. So that all helps. CJ, oh, hang on. Click the wrong one. I totally agree with you. I saw that third strip, the green one. I was like, oh, that is nice. That is a very, very, very nice shirt. I love it. Like I said, I love all three of the kits. The only one that I wasn't entirely sold on was our away strip. There's something about the collar, but I've seen a couple of other pictures since then on it. And yeah, I really like it. I really like it. I like all three of the kits. Just unfortunately, I don't have the money to buy all of them because I think I got to take out a mortgage to get all three. Oh, chat's jumping around all over the place. Heard Isak has agreed a 5-year contract with Liverpool from. I will counteract that a little bit, Fiber. And I read something this morning that apparently that is not exactly the case. They said 5-year deal is on the table, but it's been agreed but not agreed, if that kind of makes sense. I think it's been agreed in principle, but nothing obviously has been signed upon yet. Probably got the finer details to go through, but the end of the day, Isak's going to get that 5-year contract regardless in front of him, whatever the wages. He's going to sign it because he wants Liverpool. That is it. So I think we are easily going to get him sorted out and signed up. Tador, there is a change in attitude in Liverpool owners and CEOs. So Liverpool are a big club and we should act like one. Indeed. Yeah, I did read that the other day, and that's exactly the sort of attitude that we wanted from our owners from the very start. I can't help but wonder that sometimes what it would have been like when we won the first title under Klopp and we actually did something similar after that. I think things would have been a little bit different by this point. Maybe Klopp would still be around. I don't know. But unfortunately, hindsight is one of those things. It's 2020. Now that we've moved on, we're in a different era of the club. And we just have to move forward with what we got. And moving forward with what we've got at the moment is really, really exciting from a fan's perspective. But I think that is going to be it for the moment. Nothing else coming through on the news that I can see. No major updates, just the same old stuff coming from the Rordrygo story and some of the Isak stuff. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more news today. I think also, just as the final snippet, Diaz is obviously, I've seen videos of him this morning. He's in Munich already. Medical, all that sort of stuff, that will get signed. That's going to get confirmed today. So that's another 65 million into the bank account. That all goes towards the Isak deal, which is very, very nice. Not that we need it because we've already got the money. But it's all good. It's all good. But there we go, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave it there for the moment. And yeah, it's all good. And thank you, actually, before I go, a nice little comment here. You're all about LFC, smart, organised, always on time, manage your time well. Thank you very much, Spirit of LFC fans. Much appreciated. But yes, as I say, I'm going to leave it there for the moment. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. I enjoyed the banter and all that sort of stuff in the comments. I don't mind a little bit of criticism. Keep the comments going. Just keep it respectful at the end of the day. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're on our road to 1,500 subs. Let's see if we can get there before the Bournemouth game. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning because I'm here for the next 2 mornings, actually, as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later. Ta-ra.